I don't know about you guys, but to me, that's a successful hatch. Do you ever notice how he likes to hang out behind me whenever I'm talking on camera? Yo folks, there is 1 day left before our first batch of chickens, the Kramer chicks, are set to hatch. I've got a setup in my office where I have them, the incubation station set up currently, and I have kind of a staging area for them, a big cardboard box that I'm going to fill up so that I can move them over to the brooder room, which is here in the barn. And I may keep them in that cardboard box for a day or two, just to give them time to dry off and prep themselves for getting to the main brooder. So I'm going to set that up right now and show you how that's going to look. That should be plenty. For food? For water. Oh, and you know what? Let me get the heater panel too, for heat. All right, so I've got my cardboard box, which now that I think about it, this isn't an ideal setup for anything more than a few minutes for these chicks because this heater won't fit inside there. And I don't really have an adequate setup in here to mount a heat lamp. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to just use this box as a way to transport the chicks directly to the brooder. Now, what I've been told, and I'll do a little bit more research on it tonight. So let's show you the actual incubator itself, my friends. Here it is. You'll note that I took out the the Turner tray. Well, you're supposed to do that 3 days before hatch to give the eggs room to crack open, and so the chicks will actually have room to move around. 1 day left. So apparently you can once the chicks actually all hatch out, you can open up the incubator globe, take out the actual shells themselves, and they can stay in there for 1, maybe 2 days. They don't need to be fed. They'll live off the yolk. That provides all the nutrients that they'll need, and they do have some water in that bowl there, which is fed by this little reservoir. So for a day or two, I'll let them peep around in there and dry off. Once they're completely dry, I think what I'll do is I'll move them to this box. I'll fill this box with a little bit of pine shavings just to make their journey more comfortable. And then I will take them out to the brooder itself in the barn. Voila. This will be their magic carpet ride to brooder heaven. So what a cool surprise to see all these chicks greet us in the morning. They all kind of started out at once, at least most of them did. And you could hear their peeping across the house. You could actually hear them peeping before they even cracked through the egg, which those of you that have incubated eggs before are probably very familiar with. You can start hearing them peep, I think the day before they're set to hatch. So it was such a cool experience to just wake up in the morning and surprise, all these birds are waiting for us. Henry got to hang out and meet the birds as we were taking them out and moving them to the brooder, which is kind of cool. He was very excited about that. There's still a few I wanted to keep in there just because they weren't really dry. I want to be very careful about how many times I open the incubator while there's still eggs that could potentially hatch. I don't want to mess with the humidity levels too much. We still have some potential hatchlings. Here's your water. Little friend. Here's your water. Okay, so there's 2 more that look to be pretty dry. I'm not sure how well you can see them from there. So it's a total of 8 that have hatched out so far. So out of 12 eggs, 8 successful hatches, which is a pretty good hatch rate, in my opinion. And these guys are about ready to dry. It's been a few hours now since we've moved that first batch. And again, there's still 4 eggs, which I'll show you in a minute what those eggs look like. I want to give those eggs another day, maybe another 2 days before we give up on them. But these little ones are pretty much dry and I think ready to go out and join their compatriots in the brooder. So I'm gonna make that move pretty quick. And like I was saying, I wanna do this quickly. I wanna open the incubator very quickly so that we don't lose too much humidity for the current eggs that are in there. Real quick. Are you ready? There's 1, and there is 2. Very cute, wouldn't you say? All right, now we'll put this back on. Make sure the humidity level rises up again. I'll show you what we've got left. So, it looks like this one right here is actually starting to pip. That's what they call it when the egg, you start to see a crack in the egg. So that means there's a bird in there, and that one too, actually. So we should have these 2 hatch out, hopefully. In the meantime, the humidity level is getting nice and high again. I'm gonna hold out hope that we'll have more than 8 chicks hatch out. So let's move these guys, hey friends, out to the brooder where it's nice and warm and toasty with their friends. Okay. All right, so you'll note that my setup may look a little bit different than it did earlier in the day, and you'd be correct. I'll explain that to you in a minute, but first, let me get these guys moved in. Like I said, I'm gonna introduce them to water. There's your water, go on in. And then I'm gonna shut this. I'm gonna move this right here, and then I'm gonna put this down again, and then we'll talk. It's a really cool thing to see all of these chicks so healthy in here, moving around. Obviously, if you've watched this channel for any amount of time, you know this is nothing new. We've had many chicks that go through this brooder for us in the past. This is the very first time that we've ever incubated them on the homestead for ourselves. And so there's a novel element to this that makes me really excited. And I think the primary thing that makes me excited is that we have kind of a self-containing system for livestock, for animals. Yes, these are just egg layers, but eventually we're going to get meat chickens, and we're going to be able to not leave the homestead all that much in order to get new inputs, new chickens added to our system. That's especially exciting with things like meat chickens, where you can always have meat chickens on the go. Now, yes, there's a whole discussion that needs to be had about introducing new roosters and getting new genetics in there, but the fact is, we have a circular system, a closed system for producing food, eggs and meat with this. And incubation, I would say, was a success. I'd say it was a great success. It was an experiment. We didn't know how it would go, and it went about as well as you could expect. So far, we have 8 healthy chicks, and I tend to think we'll have some more hatch out. So I could wax on philosophically about how cool this is and spiritual and all that stuff, but from a practical perspective, this is really cool. This closed system that we have. Another practical consideration is the brooder setup that we have. You may look at this and it looks kind of janky, and it's true, and I talked about this in a previous video, but we've used this brooder system now for years and it's worked out perfectly. We've never lost a chick to predators in this system. So I want to go over it again real quick now that we have some live chickens in here. I've made a lid that has 2 sides to it. The bottom side is right here, and it's a door. I drilled some holes in it just for air. And the top side is a frame out with some really tight hardware cloth. This is a 1/4 of an inch, maybe 1/2 of an inch hardware cloth. I designed it this way to where I could open up this top half, it's hinged out, and go in and do everything I need to do, but also the hardware cloth so I can introduce a heat lamp to the mix in case I need to. Now, earlier in the day, obviously I just had the heat panel in there, which I still do. I have 2 heat elements here. I've got the heat lamp and the heat panel. You may say that's overkill. Typically it would be overkill, but in these first few days, we've actually done it this way several times, where we have both the heat lamp and the heat panel to give them alternate sources of heat. As they get a little older, probably by the end of the week, I'll get rid of one of these. Probably the heat lamp, so I just have the heat panel. It's a little bit safer. But right now, this method, the heat lamp is resting on the metal and it's blocked by this cinder block, so it's not going to burn anything. It's also hanging off of this post right here. The heat lamp isn't going anywhere. It's secure in this spot. I've also put the cinder block on this side to prevent any curious animals that manage to get inside here from opening the lid. So this thing the lid isn't moving. Predators for these types of chicks, raccoons, skunks, weasels, or whatever, they're not going to be able to open this thing. It's too heavily weighed down. So they're safe. I've got the panels on the side to prevent wind from bringing in too many drafts and going in here, which was a problem in the past. All told, we're in a really good spot with these guys, and they are just hanging out right now, little chicken nuggets, as I like to call them. You may wonder how I check on them to make sure they're okay. When they're this young, literally just a few hours old, I just bang on the side of the brooder and see if it wakes them up and moves them around. So you see them kind of look around when I bang on it. That means they're alert. They're just sleepy right now. They're going to rest for a bit. I've already introduced them to water. They probably won't be interested in their food pellets for a few days, but so far we're off to a good start. So I wanted to answer a few more questions that came up about this. A couple folks asked me, okay, if you're hatching your own chicks, you're going to get more roosters. What do you plan on doing with the roosters? I got to be straight with you guys. We've already been calling roosters. This time last month, we had 3 roosters. Yeah. So this time last month, we had 3 roosters. Now we only have 1 rooster. Russell, there he is right there. What a beautiful, beautiful bird, wouldn't you say? He's an interesting mix. I was trying to figure out with Katie Kramer, like what his actual mix is, and she told me, but I'll need to write it down the next time that we have a discussion. What a pretty barnyard mix that rooster is. I'm gonna hold on to Russell for a while because he's gentle, but he's protective of the chickens. Now, what happened with the other 2 roosters? Well, I don't know if I mentioned it in the past videos. There was one white rooster. I forget the exact breed, but he fell. He twisted his ankle. He did something to injure his leg, and he was limping really bad. Limping so bad that he wasn't moving anymore. He was just staying stationary, and I'd have to bring water and food to him. So I thought it was just best for him to take him out of his misery, and I called him. The second one was Conan. You guys remember Conan. Conan was getting vicious. Conan was getting really, really mean. Every time I walked in there, he'd charge me. In addition, he was harassing the turkeys. He was harassing poor Lenny over here. He was knocking Lenny into the fence. Now, granted, I keep the electric fence off during the day, but he would just run up to him and then kick him into the fence, and poor Lenny would bowl over onto the fence, and he wasn't sure what to do. And Conan just kept getting worse and worse. And so I was having a discussion with Katie about that, and she's like, you know what? Now that you're going to be breeding chickens, if there's a rooster that has those aggressive tendencies, you don't want those aggressive tendencies to continue to be bred into your flock. So she advised I just call him if he's showing that kind of aggression. So we've already kind of been culling roosters. Now, whenever you hatch out your own chicks, obviously there's a coin flip, whether it's going to be a rooster or a hen. What do we intend to do with the roosters? We intend to probably cull most of them and turn them into stew. We might hold on to 1 or 2 just to kind of increase the genetic pool of our flock, because now that we've tested this and we know that, hey, the eggs that get laid here, there's a very good chance that they're fertilized. Why not turn all the roosters that we get into stew meat? Now that brings up another question of, the breast chickens that I need to get a hold of Kathy and get that kind of in the works. Those are going to be dedicated meat chickens, and we'd like to start a breeding program with them that's extensive, so we'll always have a nice big flock of breast chickens here in the near future. By the end of the year, I'd really like that. Finally, turkeys. I haven't forgotten about turkeys. Hi, Laverne. I think after we do the breast chickens, I think we'll start going into turkeys a lot more in depth, and we'll hatch out actual turkeys. I've been thinking about maybe buying turkey chicks. The thing with turkeys, obviously, is that they have a higher rate of attrition. When they're chicks, they die a lot more frequently. Either way, turkeys, we will have turkey chicks this year. Where they fall into the order of things between the current chicks, the layers, the breast chickens that we get, and then finally the turkeys, where that order of operations is going to be, I'm not sure. Finally, our tour of the poultry yard, I wanted to show you the young chickens, also from the Kramer life that we got. I have been moving this little chicken tractor around the pasture here, and I'm starting to move it up close to the lean-to because I'd like to park it here permanently when I release them. So that they're close to the lean-to and they see the lean-to as home. So what I'm going to do in the coming week is I'm going to lift this tractor up on cinder blocks, all 4 sides, and I'll let them come and go as they want. There'll be some initial turbulence probably with the rest of the flock, the main flock, as they figure each other out. Hey, Lenny. Hey, bud. Do you ever notice how he likes to hang out behind me whenever I'm talking on camera? It happens all the time. He likes being next to me, but if I try and touch him, we're still not quite there yet. He backs off. So in the next week, we're gonna lift the tractor. We're gonna let them go. There's only this thin layer of chicken wire between them and the rest of the flock. They're pretty used to each other. I hope that the integration period between these two and the rest of the flock is pretty short and pretty easy and pretty bloodless. They're big enough, I think. I think they'll get to it. Real quick, yo folks, you may have noticed, as I've been walking around lately, that I have this cool, stylish pair of new boots on my feet. You may have noticed that. Well, I'm here to tell you that, yes, they are new. Good eye. A company called High C reached out to me and offered me a free pair of boots, and I said, okay, I'll give it a shot. I'll be honest on their performance, but yeah, if you're gonna give me some boots, I will definitely check them out. I've been cruising around in these things. I forget the exact name of this model. I think it's called the Soft Mock. I'll include a link to this exact type of shoe in the description below. And I've been wearing them just for the past few days. And what's my assessment of them? Well, so far so good. I mean, I really don't have enough information to give you a full-on review. I think I'll need a little bit more time with them. This company makes primarily kind of those pull-up slicker boots that you see, like hunting boots or garden boots. I opted to try these kind just because I kind of like the look of them, and I want something that's a little bit versatile that I can use outside the homestead too, like when I'm running errands and stuff. So I'm giving them a shot, and like I said, so far so good. They're very comfortable, I'll say that. And Holly was joking. She said they kind of look like bowling shoes, which, you know what, I'll take. I like bowling shoes. I like the aesthetic, and they make me like 2 inches taller because they've got a very deep sole. I think that's what you call it, which makes them really comfortable. So the only thing I can really gauge at this point is that they are very comfortable. In terms of how they perform on the homestead, well, we'll just have to wait and see. I'll let you guys know if they work for me, and I think they gave me a discount code. I'll double check, but if they did, that's in the link below too. So if you want to try them out too, be my guest. But in the meantime, I'm gonna cruise around in these things and do some work on them and give you an honest assessment. The only criteria I can judge on right now so far is comfort, and they're hitting the mark in that regard. So yeah, stay tuned. There'll be more to come on these things. They look cool, they make me taller, and they're comfortable. How they perform with the chickens and the dirt remains to be seen. I should also mention that they told me that these boots have a lifetime warranty and 100% guarantee of being dry and warm. We'll see about that. I'll let you guys know if that happens. That's what they said, so we shall see. Okay guys, it's later in the evening. I'm shutting the door because our house cat, Charlie, has taken an unsavory interest in the chickens here. But we had to go run some errands, and when we came back, I was surprised to see not 1, not 2, but 3 new hatches. Here they are right here. Hi, gang. There's a yellow one, kind of a tannish one, and another striped one. The yellow one has furry legs. So I've been chatting with Katie Kramer, and she's kind of been walking me through what she thinks all of these chickens are, what breed they are. So we're gonna see. I'm gonna wait till they get a little bit older, but it's very exciting. We've had 11 successful hatches so far. These guys are pretty dry. I think I'm gonna bring them out to the brooder with the other chickens and leave that last egg in there overnight tonight to see what happens. Maybe we'll get all 12 eggs hatch. But if we had 11 out of 12 eggs hatch, I don't know about you guys, but to me, that's a successful hatch. So thank you, gang, for making your appearance while we were gone running errands. You are going to join your brethren in the brooder. Let's go drop them off. I'm so pumped. All right, friend. There's 1. There's 2. And here is our yellow friend with the fluffy legs. Let's go out, friends. He wants to hold him. What do you think, bud? I'm going to bring him out to the brooder. Tweet, tweet. That's right. Tweet, tweet. Hey, friends. About to have some more party goers. Let's bring you to your water. There's your water. Let's get under that nice warm brooder, huh? We've got a lot of warmth, my friends. We've got that brooder panel, and for the next few nights, we've got this heat lamp as well. Well, yo folks, I'm very pleased with how this all turned out. 11 chicks, very healthy, running around inside of there out of 12 eggs. That's a very good hatch rate. Thank you to the Kramer Life, both Katie and Nate Kramer, for gifting me with these eggs. I'm so thankful that I have them as friends and that we're able to share resources like this. That was very, very thoughtful of them to give me these eggs. Thanks to you guys for watching and following along with us. This journey has been an interesting one. It's been up and down, but it's times like this that make it worth it. When we're creating our own food here on the homestead, whether we eat these chickens for meat or whether we eat their eggs, we're very, very thankful for them. So, until we see you again next time, remember, as always, slowly, slowly.